Hey there, I'm Shane Oglow, and this is the Rogue Trader Weekly Update. Now, I realized that I didn't do a weekly update last week. Today is July 12th. You might be seeing this on the 13th. But last weekend, I didn't get a chance to do a live update. And it's because the market was crashing. There was just so much going on. I was so busy. I just couldn't get the time to do it. But there's a lot to talk about this week. And so some pretty good results considering the strategies that we have public facing and share with our public and with our members are mostly long oriented. We have a second one which is a little bit more delta neutral, meaning that as long as the market doesn't move too much one way or another, we're pretty good and we can adjust. So we like to stay in a range, and that strategy does really well. It's called the DirtyBird. So let's go ahead, take a look at the charts, see what the heck happened last week, and then look at our results. Okay, and here's our chart of Bitcoin, and we're just trading Bitcoin these days. We're not really trading too much ETH or any other altcoins too much, but hey, you know what? This is last week's drama right here. You can see this big, huge drop, and it was pretty big. I mean, you know, from tip to tail, we're talking, 15 to 16%. Pretty sizable move. And, if we talk about from the beginning of June, the first week of June, I mean, 25%. That's a pretty big move. 25% is a monster move. Now, when we were doing this, we were just making lots of money. The account kept hitting new high. So when it makes a big move as an option seller, you're typically going to take a drawdown, completely normal. But then when things stabilize, all that money flows back in. So at least that's the way we do it. So I think we're pretty happy with the way things have gone despite this big move. Now, what do I think going forward? Well, you know what? This previous range this is the previous low back here in early May. That broke, but look, it stabilized right at that level. Big surprise. And I said to members a week ago that I wouldn't be surprised if we end up having a new range here from low 50s up to 60. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if this range went on for some time because we're getting into summer trading. But as we get further on, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up grinding back up into the old range. Now, something can always happen. There can be some kind of news or who friggin' knows. But there's been a lot of positive Bitcoin ETF inflows. So I feel that we're probably more likely to grind up than to grind down, but I wouldn't be surprised if we stayed in this range. And I always trade ranges until they break. That means they go to the top of the range, I'll be selling call spreads. Go to the bottom range, I'll be selling put spreads. That's a very basic idea for people to just know the basics about options. I'll just give you that. The other thing we can also think about doing is if it comes down here, you think the range is going to hold, and you can buy perpetual futures. You can buy spot, right? You can buy a long call option. Goes up here, we could sell perpetuals. We could sell spot. I'm not so interested in doing that. We could also buy puts up here if we thought it was going to come back in the channel. I don't want to fight it too much on the upside. I don't mind having in the money short calls that I have to adjust. No big deal. But I hope that makes sense for you people who aren't option traders. It won't make a lot of sense. Let me just share another chart here. Okay, this is our returns. Now, this is a synthetic miner account. And this is the account that's public facing. We actually started it for DirtyBird Live. It's a show we do with DirtyBird, which is the world's largest crypto options exchange. We do that every Thursday. We started this account way back at the end of February 29th. With 0.0825 of a Bitcoin. That was about $5,200 at that particular time. And this account is designed as the synth miner, you may have guessed, is designed to synthetically mine Bitcoin. So instead of having computers and working on the blockchain and mining Bitcoin, we're just going to try and use options to mine. So we can see our performance chart here. This is the big drawdown. Again, as options traders, it's not a big deal because it'll often usually come right back if you know what you're doing. So, hey, we retraced, 60, 70% of that move. And hopefully over the next 2 weeks, we'll get back up to our high water mark. This is our Bitcoin equity, our return in Bitcoin equity, how much Bitcoin we have. And here, this is the US dollar return. And this is quite interesting. And the bottom red line is HODLers, people who aren't trading, they just bought Bitcoin. This is the value, their US dollar value. And this is the trend line. Big move down, but we still have more USD than the people who are just hodling. If we want to take a quick look at these numbers here, we can see our cash now is a 1302. That's Bitcoin cash, Bitcoin equity, 1018. We started off 0.08. We are down a little bit from our highs, but we still returned. If we annualize the return, we're still up 77% annualized in terms of Bitcoin, up 36% in terms of cash. Let's take a look at the other account, the one we call the DirtyBird. Now, this one we just share with our members, and you can check us out live. We do a live stream every weekday for the most part. And that's on patreon.com. You can find us at Patreon, Rogue Trader Academy, or just join Rogue Trader Academy. And you can have access to our live trade alerts, our live streams, our weekly calls, Ask Me Anything calls. We chat with our members, all kinds of great stuff got going on over there. Anyways, this account hasn't been alive for so long. We've only had it for 67 days, so just over a couple of months. We started off with 0.0621 Bitcoin. And this strategy isn't designed so much to accumulate Bitcoin. It's designed to accumulate both Bitcoin and cash. Okay, so 0.60, we're at 0.0793. Again, a little bit of a drawdown, but if we want to annualize that return, hey, we're up 124% in Bitcoin, only up 8% in cash. Thanks to that big move. But look at the recovery. We had this big move down, and it almost fully recovered. And I expect that to get fully recovered probably by the end of the month, assuming there's no big shenanigans going on. So I think that we're pretty darn happy with the performance of these accounts. We started them small, around $5,000 each, because we want to demonstrate that you don't need a really big account. Hey, if you've got $1 million account or a $500,000 account, you know what? You can just take low risk on each side and just accumulate. Maybe make 1 or 2% a month or 3%, whatever your target happens to be. It's fairly low risk. Not that things can't go on. We always make sure everything's covered. But with a smaller account, you have to be a little bit more aggressive if you want to get a little bit better returns, because, making $200 in a year, it's not too exciting stuff, right? So we want to have those returns a little higher. We have to go a little bit more aggressive, but we keep our margin and our risk in check. Risk control is number one. Cash preservation and risk control is our mantra. So even though those small accounts, we do take a bit more risk, but we still keep that risk in check. And we've got a lot of ways we do that. And of course, you'd have to tune into our live streams to check that out. But that's your update for this week, July 12th, 2024. We'll see you next week.